sorry, I'm here representing Politics Reborn. We are focusing much more at the local level. So the most basic local aspects. For some organization or areas, it'll be the school board. Here in New York, where we are starting, it is the county committees. And they are the entry-level political races where you're talking about people just need to be 18 years old and willing to run. They are the types of roles that oftentimes people have the least information or knowledge about. And part of what we are doing is definitely developing that group or utilizing the existing groups of local activists to bring forth some of the knowledge that doesn't get talked about when you're talking on the federal level or nationally. Even here in New York City, where we are located, the way that county committee is done in Queens, the borough of Queens, is different than the way it's done in Manhattan, than the way it's done in Staten Island. And that differs from what's happening out on Long Island, which is just a few miles away from parts of Queens. So looking at bringing together that local knowledge that isn't easy for somebody just to go online and look for it. And what we're doing with Progressive Coders, and part of why I was so happy that Rafi had been part of the activists here in Queens, is in the same way that other organizations are looking for how do we pull volunteers in and give them an opportunity to sign up for actual roles and to see the progress that they're making. We also have the aspect of actually being able to have a repository for some of the information that we're finding and putting it out in ways that other people are able to access it. And I'm just going to use one example. Which is here in New York, and we're working on changing this, in order to change parties, New York is one of the most closed primaries parties, the areas in the country. You have to do it 1 year and 30 days prior to the general election. So there were a number of people that I ran into that literally as I was petitioning and doing voter registration on the street who were angry that in February they couldn't change from being a no-party preference or an independent or even a Republican to a Democrat to vote for Bernie in New York because the deadline was October 9th. And that's the kind of information that people are like, I didn't know. And so it's making that information, that local level information available. So I know it's pretty broad, but I think it actually works well with a lot of the things that have been talked about today in terms of making sure that we have all over the country and all over in various regions, we have actual local activists that are involved in the projects and that we have information that's coming from the most basic levels because the way we are structured is building up from the ground up is the way that we're really going to be able to build and hold on to actual political change and power, essentially, in terms of the way that things are currently structured. The other aspect of all of this is being one of those organizations that wants to work with the coders in terms of what is it we're asking for and how are we able to use it, like actually being that first group that tests out, hey, this has been developed, here's how we're finding that we're able to use it, and here's what we still need. Trying to keep it as quick and short as possible, but happy to answer more questions and get into more detail on Slack. Thank you.